Alrighty, welcome. My name is Dylan Page. I'm an engineering manager at Lambda, but most importantly, I'm the co-chair of TAG Infrastructure alongside Kashif and Zing. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Kashif Khan. I am an open source architect at Ericsson Software Technology. I'm also a maintainer of a CNCF incubating project, metalcube.io. And today I'm here as one of the co-chairs of TAG Infrastructure.
So one thing we wanted to talk about is specifically, what is a TAG? TAG is a technical advisory group. Our responsibility is to report up into the Technical Oversight Committee, which is one of two main bodies of the CNCF, the other being the governing board. Recently, the technical advisory groups were rebooted and new elections were held. The tags were consolidated from 8 previous groups down to 5. We've replaced the existing working groups that were under the tags into new subprojects and initiatives, along with being able to have TOC oversight directly of some subprojects and initiatives. So you can see some of the artificial intelligence initiatives has been moved up directly under the TOC instead of being under specific tags, as well as contributor strategy is now a direct subproject of the TOC that used to be a tag. And then the project reviews, which used to be direct responsibilities of previous tags, is now its own subproject as well. This aligns more closely with how the Kubernetes working groups concepts were kind of formed, and is coming out of necessity to try and drive better interactions and collaboration with the projects, the CNCF projects, as well as the initiatives and subprojects. Any previous working groups that have been active prior to the reboot may now apply to be a new subproject or initiative, and the tags, as well as the TOC, will work to triage and audit them to find them the right place and home. As you can see, this is a more expanded structure and scope of the 5 different tags. You can see the design here is intentional. There's 2 tag verticals, security and compliance and operational resilience. They cross across the 3 main kind of technical tags. We have developer experience, workload foundations, and of course ours infrastructure. The reason for this layout is to promote better cross-tag collaboration. Operational resilience, such as observability or resource optimization or performance, has implications for both developer experience, workload foundations, and infrastructure. Same for security and compliance. So this is kind of promoting a system or an organization that is less siloed and more cross-functional. You can read up on more about the tag reboot. I have some QR codes up here that will link you to the GitHub issue, as well as the actual more in-depth slides about the tag reboot, if you're not already aware. So more about the tag infrastructure. Who are we? We're a diverse community of developers and end users of cloud-native technologies. Our focuses are more on the bottom layer of the stack: data, storage, network, infrastructure as code, compute, edge, sovereignty, load balancing. The 3 co-chairs are here in front of you, and then we have 5 additional tech leads: Alexa, Antonio, Bruno, Nicholas, Nzangu. We also have specific liaisons with TOC members to coordinate with. So Kashif will now go over our charter and our focus.
Thanks a lot, Dylan. So TAG Infrastructure sits at the very foundation of the cloud-native computing foundations ecosystem. As you can see, its mission is to define the best practices and standards and assessment models around the infrastructure that powers the cloud-native ecosystem. So as Dylan has already showed in the previous slides that there are other tags, for example, workloads, observability, or application delivery. But when it comes to tagging infrastructure, it is focusing on the layer under the hood, the compute, data, storage, and other control layers that everything else is actually depending on. And in the charter, we have these keywords like scalable, resilient, secure, and performance systems, and those are not accidental. That means that we are trying to set the benchmark for what an infrastructure in a cloud-native world must achieve. And the tag exists to help the infrastructure pain points, for example, like portability across clouds, consistency between edge and data center environments, or performance trade-offs in that aspect as well. And it is also explicitly aligned with the CNCF's technical vision and technical oversight committee's charter. So that means also that the tag is not operating on silo. The purpose is to keep the entire CNCF ecosystem coherent at the infrastructure level. In short, the tag infrastructure define what cloud-native infrastructure should look like, what principles we are adopting, what trade-offs are we making, and how we are ensuring that these building blocks or components are then remaining open, coherent, composable, and interoperable. The core technical domains for our charter, you might have noticed already, are data, storage, networking, compute, infrastructure management, and agent sovereignty. I'll step through each of the domain and discuss a bit into more detail about how we actually try to align these technical domains to make sure that the critical infrastructure concerns are addressed, and we will also represent or show some of the project logos which kind of fit under the umbrella of those technical domains. And so that it can give you a picture of what can be covered into these. So first of all, for example, in data, when we're talking about data in infrastructure, it's not just only about the matrix or telemetry or system logs. Tag infrastructure is looking at the full data life cycle, from generation to ingestion to transport to retention, with emphasis on schema consistency and features like cost of observability, for example. The goal here is to define data patterns that are scalable, privacy aware, and cloud agnostic. We have put an example, like for example, Fluentd or Prometheus, and we are not saying that this is something that fits only, or these projects are only under tag infrastructure's umbrella in that case, because there are a bit of overlap also in the core domains that different tags are actually taking care. But these are just examples that can fit into this category. Then we have storage, which underpins the durability and performance across workloads. In here, the types of storage that we are mostly looking at is block storage, files, objects, databases, caching, or messaging. In that case, we are trying to, in tag infrastructure, analyzing the trade-offs among availability, consistency, and cost, and how to model these as declarative attributes. We have currently two initiatives ongoing. One is on that I will present in the next few slides. The aim here is interoperability. Any workload should understand what a perfect or gold storage class means across vendors. When it comes to networking, which is connecting the cloud-native components, we are trying to look into the DNAs, gateways, service mesh, policy, and observability. And keep in mind that this is not an exhaustive list. These are just some of the core technical domains that we are trying to focus. But of course, we are also looking into other aspects of networking as well in the cloud-native ecosystem. The idea here is to standardize, let's say, or give a sort of not standardization, but then policies, for example, in that case, for the APIs and let's say mesh interoperability. I think the zero trust networking, for example, and network observability frameworks also come under this category. The idea or outcome for this inside the tag infrastructure ecosystem is to find a well-defined network behavior contracts that make cross-mesh and cross-cloud routing predictable. In compute, which is actually the execution substrate, we are looking for from the kernel boundary to the specialized hardwares. So Containerd or Cryo are some examples where which projects are implementing the OCI runtime interfaces. In this domain, our plan is to find out isolation primitives, for example, namespaces, C groups, seccomps, performances versus security trade-offs, hardware accelerations like GPU, DPU, TPUs, and scheduling implications on those heterogeneous hardware and nodes. The idea here is that the tag infrastructure will contribute guidance for runtime selection, accelerator, awareness, and sandboxing best practices. When it comes to infrastructure management, which is everything about the lifecycle control, provisioning, drift detection, policy, and automation, we have put some examples of projects like Crossplane, for example, which is extending this infrastructure as a code into Kubernetes, treating cloud APIs as CRDs. Then project like Metal Cube brings the same declarative model into the bare metal provisioning. We have OPA and Kuberno, which is there for handling the policy enforcement layer. Here we are trying to focus on control plane composability, drift reconciliation frequency, and policy observability. The idea here again is to define the best practices for integrating this infrastructure, the cores and policy pipelines to ensure infrastructure is both declarative and probably compliant. And lastly, we are focusing on edge computing and sovereignty, where we are looking how to extend this cloud native to resource constrained and distributed sites with intermittent connectivity. The idea here is to look at the state synchronization intervals and conflict resolution, and then also, of course, about the multi-architecture scheduling, for example. And then a growing priority here is also sovereignty, which is keeping the operations compliant and secure, even when the cloud links are not reachable. So in our charter, the tangible outputs that we have presented are like frameworks and white papers. There are a few examples which are coming in the next few slides. Then we are also focusing on best practice assessments and, if possible, also testing guidelines and reference implementation. The success in this case is that there is an observable adoption of projects that align the APIs or practices with tax guidance, new contributors participating in initiatives, and measurable cross-project consistency. The aim is to make infrastructure guidance a standard for all CNCF ecosystem projects. And of course, as I have also mentioned, that we are coordinating horizontally, and also Dylan has presented in the first couple of slides that we are coordinating with other tags on different levels. We are also participating in tag sub-project reviews, where we are reviewing those projects which require technical guidance on the infrastructure layer, for example. And then the goal is also to ensure that every project and every tag builds towards a composable, interoperable infrastructure stack rather than isolated silos. I will quickly just say a few words about the two initiatives that are currently ongoing on the storage area. First one is the Landscape V3, which is discusses the definition of attributes of a storage system, and also discusses about topology, distributed topology, centralized, distributed, or sharded. And we are also like putting many different definitions of the management interfaces. We will share the slides later on so that you can reach the work in progress paper on that. And the next one is the data storage in the cloud native AI, where we are actually trying to discuss about AI, how AI and ML workloads behave, and then what are the impact of AI and ML workloads on the data storage. Here we are actually discussing about what are the storage requirements and usage pattern in each of the phases when you are doing training or you use large amount of data. Then the next initiative, Dylan will actually tell you about infrastructure lifecycle.
So this initiative is a good example of a previous working group that is being rebooted as a new initiative. Infrastructure lifecycle is scoped to kind of figuring out the end-to-end design, deploy, operate, update, and decommission. What people have known with infrastructure over the past 10 years has been primarily focused on public cloud. And with the emergence of new infrastructure areas such as edge, private cloud, and also hybrid and multi-cloud, a lot of the previous best practices and architectures are hard to kind of bring into these new areas. And so what the intention here is to kind of guide the community as a whole in these new areas and try to bring cloud native principles into edge, into private cloud, into some of these hybrid environments. This is something that will be was originally stated to be a white paper, but we will be scoping to kind of present more of an ongoing technical brief over time. So one of the things I also wanted to talk about as well is ways to contribute to the tag. We've talked a lot about what the tag does, what its scope is, what its charter does, how we help out with other tags, with projects, with the TOC, and I would like to spend some time on how folks can come to the tag and contribute back into the tag itself. One thing that we really and most importantly are here for is supporting CNCF projects. Whether that is primarily the focus of helping them move up levels to incubation or graduation and doing technical reviews, but also ongoing advisement. How do they do governance? Helping to kind of provide them support within the CNCF ecosystem. We are also looking for contributors to focus on individual initiatives. So we just showed you 3 examples already. If there's something that pertains to you, or maybe there's a new initiative that you have an idea for that you would like to kind of work on and have the support of the tag, that is something that is very possible. As Kashif mentioned before, we contribute to the subproject, the TOC subproject project reviews. This can be in either specific domain technical reviews or general technical reviews, and providing guidance to those projects on, identifying gaps in technical areas. Overall, we're constantly looking at refining what is the tag scope. Kashif mentioned that we want it to embody a living, ongoing process. The charter is relatively new, but the industry grows and changes over time, especially with the emergence of new technologies. And so, are there gaps? Are there things that maybe we're in working in concert with other tags that maybe we're overdoing and maybe we can kind of back off on? The charter probably isn't perfect off the gate, and so having voices and people come in and bringing in opinions would greatly helpful. And that kind of aligns in with identifying industry trends. What are things that are up and coming that we may not be thinking about right now, or what are some trends that are already here that are best practices that we can kind of identify across companies and end users and projects that, hey, this is what works, this isn't what worked, and being able to advocate for that to help. And at the bare minimum, just having people advocating for the tag, posting on social media, doing talks at conferences, it greatly helps to expand our reach and to grow the community. So I took this from one of our friends over at Tag Workload Foundations, but this is essentially a ladder or visual representation of how does someone kind of start contributing to the tag and then kind of grow through it and what some of those steps might look like. So first and foremost, just attending meetings and being present and helping us to kind of organize around the different initiatives and works that we have going on. Continuously reaching out and doing advocacy to CNCF projects that are inside of our scope to make sure that projects are supported and that they don't need help. Helping to lead initiatives, contributing to new initiatives, and then at the upcoming KubeCons, there'll be tag booths where you can staff and just help to advocate for the tag and to educate folks on what it is we actually do. So I have some final QR codes. We have our CNCF Slack channel, Tag Infrastructure, and also a link to our calendar meetings where you can register and get the meeting invite on your calendar. We meet on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern, and those are bi-weekly. And that is all. So thank you for coming, and any questions?
Thank you.